Okay, Chrissy, I'll get in the tub with you, then we can get it on.
Next to me, I'll show you what to do.
Remember when primetime meant live studio audiences, awkward misunderstandings, and at least one neighbor barging in uninvited? Yeah, that was Three's Company. For 8 glorious seasons, John Ritter, Joyce Dewitt, and Suzanne Somers turned guy pretends to be gay to live with 2 women into appointment television. It was physical comedy cranked to 11, sexual innuendos disguised as innocent mix-ups, and enough pratfalls to fill a stuntman's hospital bills. But behind the slapstick and the double entendres, things got way weirder than Jack's fake mustache phase or Mr. Furley's polyester wardrobe. Today, we're counting down 15 weird facts about Three's Company that you probably didn't know. Now, before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and stick around for number 1 because it involves a casting decision that could have rewritten sitcom history. Now, let's get into the countdown with number 15, the color-coded chaos of Chrissy's exit.
Well, this is typical getting a girl pregnant. Only a man would do a thing like that.
By season 5, Three's Company wasn't just a sitcom. It was a full-blown showdown behind the laugh track. Suzanne Somers had gone from fan favorite to Flashpoint when she demanded $150,000 an episode plus 10% of the profits, more than triple John Ritter's $50,000. Producers said no. Somers held out, and suddenly the writer's room turned into a crisis center. Every week, 2 versions of each script were generated, one with Chrissy's scenes and one without her at all. To keep the chaos straight, they color-coded the draft so the crew could instantly grab the right version depending on whether Chrissy was in Fresno that week or completely written out. And about that Fresno excuse, it wasn't real. It was a storyline to explain Chrissy's sudden absence, when in reality, Somers was escorted under security to a tiny side set at the LA studio. There, she'd film quick phone call scenes, carefully isolated from her co-stars, before being ushered straight back out.
I dreamed I was walking down the street, and all of a sudden I found myself in the middle of the woods, and it kept getting darker and darker.
To viewers, it looked seamless. To the people making the show, it was like juggling flaming batons with a smile plastered on your face. Scripts rewritten at the last minute, alternate pages flying around the set, and a cast trying to hold the series together while one of its stars was being phased out. For a show built on misunderstandings, the biggest one was happening off-screen, whether Three's Company could survive without Chrissy Snow at all. Number 14, the show had more false starts than your dad's lawnmower. Some shows slip onto TV with one neat pilot. Three's Company stalled out 3 times before ABC finally turned the key. In total, 3 different pilots were shot before ABC finally said yes. The first, written by MASH legend Larry Gelbart, had John Ritter playing David Bell, a filmmaker, not a chef, living with 2 totally different roommates, Valerie Curtin and Suzanne Zenner. Even the theme was half-baked, just a doody-doody-doo-doo placeholder that sounded like someone humming in the shower. The second pilot kept Ritter, recast him as Jack Tripper, and added Joyce Dewitt as Janet, alongside Susan Lanier as Chrissy. It was closer, but still not the magic mix. Then finally, in early 1977, the third pilot swapped Lanier for Suzanne Somers. Ritter's pratfalls, DeWitt's grounding energy, and Somers' bubbly Chrissy, suddenly ABC had gold. So yeah, Three's Company didn't just knock on the door, it had to try 3 times before anyone let it in. Number 13, Suzanne Somers got cast because someone hit fast forward. Chrissy Snow became one of TV's most iconic blondes thanks to the laziest casting session in history. Suzanne Somers had already been rejected, twice. 2 pilots, 2 other blondes, no chemistry. Cut to Fred Silverman speed-watching audition tapes like he was late for happy hour. Mid-fast forward, he slammed rewind on Somers' tape and went, "Wait, who's that?" One Sunday, Suzanne's phone rang. "You're our Chrissy. Be here tomorrow. We start shooting." That was it.
Listen, if he doesn't recognize me by now, then I don't want to talk to him at all.
No callbacks, no chemistry reads, just one day to transform from thanks but no thanks to sitcom stardom. Now, Somers wasn't some total rookie. She'd done bit parts in film and TV, but this was different. She brought the exact ditzy sparkle the show was missing.
What's there to talk over, Janet? I mean, I think he'd make a terrific roommate.
Oh, so do I.
Okay, let's ask him.
No.
Suddenly, the third pilot clicked like a perfectly timed pratfall, and Three's Company finally had its formula. One straight man, one voice of reason, and one blonde stereotype who basically launched her own cottage industry. Sometimes TV magic is strategy, and sometimes it's an exec accidentally hitting rewind before last call. Number 12, Jack Tripper was almost different. Imagine an alternate universe where Jack Tripper delivered witty one-liners instead of tripping over furniture. It almost happened. Back in the early casting stages of Three's Company, Billy Crystal auditioned for the role of Jack alongside Barry Van Dyke and future Friends director Michael Lembeck. ABC ultimately went with John Ritter, a decision that turned out to be sitcom gold. Ritter's physical comedy became the show's beating heart. He could trip, stumble, and contort himself with cartoon-like precision, turning even a tranquilizer-induced stumble into a masterclass in slapstick.
It's a far, far better place that I go to, where you trust the people you love. And I love you both so much.
Just watch the Up in the Air episode and try not to laugh. Ritter didn't just play Jack, he embodied him. Don Knotts, who joined the show later as Mr. Furley, once called Ritter the greatest physical comedian on the planet. His pratfalls, double takes, and flailing limbs elevated the show's farcical misunderstandings into must-see TV. It's no exaggeration to say that without Ritter, Three's Company might have just been another apartment comedy. But what if Billy Crystal had gotten the part? Instead of pratfalls, we'd have gotten punchlines. Crystal, fresh off the stand-up circuit and known for his sharp observational humor and character work, would have brought a totally different energy to the show. Think When Harry Met Sally, but with a roommate subplot. Jack Tripper's clumsy charm would likely have been swapped out for a more urbane, quick-witted presence. Less puppy dog panic, more dry sarcasm and verbal gymnastics. Would it have still worked? Maybe, but it would have been a very different show with less farce and more finesse. Crystal, of course, went on to make history as Jody Dallas on Soap, playing one of the first openly gay characters on American television.
Well, Jody, so you're going to get married, huh?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
A role that showcased his knack for mixing humor with heart and solidified his place in television history. And what about the others? Well, Barry Van Dyke was the son of comedy legend Dick Van Dyke, and he might have played Jack as the classic clean-cut leading man, less manic energy and more affable charm. Picture a more grounded, good-natured Jack who gets into trouble not by tripping over the couch, but by trusting the wrong friend. Michael Lembeck, with his New York roots and later success directing shows like Friends, might have brought a sardonic, streetwise vibe. His Jack would have been sharper, more sarcastic, a guy who talks his way out of problems instead of tumbling into them. He may have even played more of a straight man, letting Chrissy and Janet drive the wackiness while he anchored the ensemble with deadpan reactions. In the end, ABC's gamble on Ritter paid off. He didn't just fit the role, he flipped it, cartwheeled over it, and landed in sitcom history. Crystal, Van Dyke, and Lembeck could have all delivered something interesting, but Ritter's blend of innocence, agility, and comedic timing made Three's Company unforgettable. Sometimes the right actor isn't just a good choice, they're the only choice. Number 11, the theme was written by Big Bird's musical dad.
Come and knock on our door. Come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you.
Come and knock on our door might be one of the catchiest sitcom themes this side of Cheers, but here's the plot twist you probably didn't know. It was written by the same guy behind the Sesame Street theme song.
Sunny day, sleeping up, clouds away.
Joe Raposo was a musical mastermind who also created Sesame Street classics like Being Green and C is for Cookie.
Come and dance on our floor. Come and dance on our floor. Take a step that is new.
The Three's Company theme was sitcom sexiness on a PG budget with just enough of a wink to keep the door swinging open every week.
We've a lovable space that needs your face. Three's Company too.
The original plan was to have Ritter, Somers, and Dewitt sing the theme themselves. After about 5 minutes of that experiment, producers called in the professionals, faster than Jack running from Mr. Angelino with a rent notice. And before you start bragging that Ray Charles sang the theme, pump the brakes. This wasn't the Ray Charles who gave us Georgia on My Mind, it was this one. Affectionately known as the other Ray Charles, he sang the theme with Julia Rinker, led the Ray Charles Singers, and worked with Perry Como for decades.
You'll see that life is a ball again, laughter is calling for you.
So the next time you're humming along, remember, the same brain that created Sunny Days also made the song that convinced you 3 adults living in one apartment was scandalous comedy gold.
Down at our rendezvous, Three's Company too.
Number 10, Don Knotts brought his Emmy-winning Neuroses to the show. When Don Knotts joined Three's Company in season 4, you'd think a 5-time Emmy winner would stroll onto set like he owned the place. Instead, Knotts admitted he was terrified he wouldn't fit in with an established cast that had already perfected their rhythm of pratfalls and bedroom misunderstandings. This is Don Knotts we're talking about.
Well, let's see. You got any 12-year-old scotch back there? Anything younger than that, a real scotch drinker, and throw it back.
You know, the guy who turned being high-strung into Emmy gold as Deputy Barney Fife on The Andy Griffith Show. But even legends get stage fright, especially when the job meant switching from the slower pace of a single-camera sitcom to the live multi-camera chaos of Three's Company. Knotts had never performed in front of a studio audience before, and he worried he couldn't keep up with the rapid-fire timing. His nerves disappeared fast because if you're rocking leisure suits that break at least 3 fashion laws, you'd better own it.
Mr. Furley, are you all right? Say something.
She loves me.
Knotts brought his trademark jittery energy and flawless timing to the role, and audiences devoured it like free pizza at a college dorm meeting. The ratings told the story. Three's Company shot up to number 2 after his arrival. Knotts might have feared he'd ruin the party, but instead, he became its secret weapon. So much so that fans often forget the show even existed before Mr. Furley strutted through the door. Number 9, Jeffrey Tambor was Three's Company's secret shapeshifter. Before Jeffrey Tambor was perfecting his neurotic patriarch act on Arrested Development, he was playing career dress-up on Three's Company. And by dress-up, we mean he showed up as 3 completely different characters, because apparently the casting director figured viewers had the attention span of a goldfish. Winston Cromwell III in 1981, Dr. Tom Miller later that year, and Dr. Philip Green in 1982. 3 names, 3 episodes, same unmistakable Tambor energy. It's like watching Clark Kent change into Superman, except Superman keeps coming back with different business cards and the same neurotic stammering. But Tambor wasn't done. In the season 3 episode and anniversary surprise, he debuted as Jeffrey P. Brooks III, the Ropers' snobbish new neighbor and realtor.
Oh, Mr. Brooks! Come in.
That episode doubled as the launchpad for the Ropers spin-off, and Tambor carried the character over for its entire run, 28 episodes from 1979 to 1980. It was his only recurring role in the franchise and the one most fans actually remember. The show never acknowledged the recycling, which makes it even funnier. Tambor just kept showing up like some kind of sitcom drifter, convincing everyone he was a totally different person this time. No, you're thinking of my identical twin brother, who was also a doctor, but had completely different eyebrows. This wasn't unusual for the era.
Come on, sit back, take a big deep breath, huh? Good. Now, what seems to be your problem?
Character actors were basically sitcom utility players, but Tambor took it to an art form. He was the Swiss Army knife of guest stars, equally convincing as a stuffy rich guy, a nervous doctor, or the pompous neighbor next door. Before prestige TV came calling, Jeffrey Tambor was already building his own little sitcom multiverse, one awkward stammer at a time. Number 8, John Ritter's son wandered into TV history. The most adorable Easter egg in Three's Company history happened completely by accident and involves the kind of timing that would make sitcom writers weep with envy. In the season 6 zoo opening sequence, watch Janet feed that goat, and keep watching when a toddler suddenly appears in the frame like he's auditioning for the role of random cute kid number 3. That wasn't a hired child actor earning his first SAG card, that was Jason Ritter, John's son, who apparently decided the goat looked more interesting than staying with his mom, Nancy Morgan, who was watching from the sidelines and probably having minor heart palpitations as her child wandered into television history.
My son loves it here. I've just been telling him he's coming to the zoo for a week. He's going, zoo.
Instead of cutting around the wandering child or staging a reshoot, producers kept it in because it felt genuine and sweet. Little did they know they were capturing a future actor in his unofficial debut. Jason Ritter went on to star in Joan of Arcadia and Parenthood, proving that sometimes the best careers start with curious toddlers and friendly farm animals. For Three's Company fans, it's a time capsule moment that hits you right in the feelings. John Ritter's comedic legacy literally toddled into the frame, unscripted and unplanned, like the universe was writing its own heartwarming subplot. Now, quick question for everybody. Who was your favorite Three's Company landlord? Was it the cranky Ropers or the clueless Mr. Furley? And while you're deciding between bad fashion choices, tap that like button and subscribe for more weird TV facts that'll make you the most interesting person at any dinner party. Now, back to more Three's Company chaos with number 7, Janet and Chrissy made your family feuds look amateur. On screen, Janet and Chrissy were roommates who bickered over boys and bathroom time like normal people. Off screen, however, Joyce Dewitt and Suzanne Somers entered a Cold War that lasted longer than most marriages and some small countries' existence. The freeze started during Somers' pay dispute and kept going and going and going.
The mountain clear, or the Julienne sparkling.
I'd like Santa Monica tap.
For over 30 years, these two women who'd shared a fictional apartment together didn't share a single word. That's not holding a grudge, that's committing to a grudge with the dedication of a professional athlete training for the Olympics of passive aggression. The silence finally broke in 2012 when they reunited on Somers' talk show Breaking Through. They hugged, cried, and reminisced about John Ritter, whom Somers called the greatest physical comic of our era.
The physical ability of John Ritter. It was like, once I got into his rhythm, once I heard the beats of comedy, it was like playing ping pong with John Ritter. Bam, bam, bam.
It was like watching a decades-long sitcom storyline finally get its resolution episode, except with more genuine emotion and fewer laugh tracks. The reunion was bittersweet, partly because Ritter had died in 2003, never seeing his former co-stars reconcile. Sometimes real life needs a laugh track more than the television does, but it also needs better timing than most TV writers could ever manage. 32 years of silence over a pay dispute that lasted one season. That's either impressive dedication to a principle or the longest sitcom subplot in television history. Number 6, the love interest who vanished without a trace. When Ann Wedgeworth joined Three's Company as Lana Shields, the confident, flirty neighbor with an eye for Jack, producers thought they had a fun new wrinkle. But John Ritter took one look at the storyline and basically said, wait a second, this doesn't make sense.
Jack, why are you eating like that?
I just like to be close to my foods.
The problem wasn't Wedgeworth, who was a solid actress. The problem was how the writers set her up. Lana was supposed to be older than Jack, and the running gag was that he'd constantly reject her because of it. But this was Jack Tripper, a guy who'd chase anything in a skirt like a golden retriever chasing tennis balls. Suddenly he's turning picky? Ritter argued it made Jack look inconsistent, even hypocritical, and he wasn't wrong. Jack's whole persona was being girl crazy, not ageist. If the writers thought audiences would laugh at the idea of Jack swatting away a confident, attractive neighbor, Ritter thought it just made his character look off.
Oh, Jack, it's so nice to be alone with you.
Lana, don't start anything now, okay? I got some company coming.
Jack, please, I came as a friend.
The result? Lana's storyline never got off the ground. She showed up in 9 episodes of season 4, flirted with Jack, got rejected, rinse and repeat. Then one week, she was just gone. No goodbye, no moving to Fresno, no nothing. She disappeared from the show like she'd entered the sitcom witness protection program. Now behind the scenes, the truth was a little more complicated. With Ritter pushing back and the writers unsure what to do with her, Lana's role shrank. Ann Wedgeworth eventually asked to be released from her contract, and producers agreed. For viewers, though, it felt like one of those classic sitcom vanishing acts. One day you had a neighbor with a crush, the next day it was as if she never existed, which ironically was one of the few misunderstandings on Three's Company that nobody tripped over a couch to explain. Number 5, Three's Company had a British blueprint. Some remakes are so successful they completely overshadow the original. For most Americans, Three's Company feels like a wholly homegrown idea, but it actually started across the pond as Man About the House. Man About the House premiered on ITV on August 15, 1973 and ran until April 7th of 1976. 6 series, 39 episodes, plus a short Christmas special. At the time, the premise was just saucy enough to raise eyebrows. Two single women, Chrissy and Joe, sharing a London flat, decide to take in a male roommate, Robin Tripp, after finding him passed out in their bathtub following a going-away party for their old flatmate. Robin, played by Richard O'Sullivan, was a culinary student, and that was the hook for the girls. They couldn't cook to save their lives, and Robin could whip up a full dinner without breaking a sweat. But landlord George Roper, played by Brian Murphy, wasn't about to let an unmarried man move in with two single women, so Chrissy blurted out he's gay. Cue the farce. George's wife Mildred, played by Eutha Joyce, figured out the truth almost immediately and became a recurring flirtation hazard for Robin. ABC didn't copy it, they Americanized it. London flat to Santa Monica. Robin to Jack. Same he's gay dodge, bigger pratfalls. And most viewers never knew there was a British blueprint, they just knew it worked. So when that theme kicks in, tip the cap to Man About the House. Three's Company didn't start here, it just made itself at home. Number 4, the Ropers rose fast and fell fast.
Chest exercise. Oh. And we must increase our bust. Here to join us, Mr. Roper?
Forget about Mr. Roper. He doesn't believe in doing anything strenuous.
Someone at ABC decided these two scene stealers deserved their own spotlight, and the Ropers was born. The premise was as thin as the walls in their old apartment building. The Ropers sell their property and move to an upscale neighborhood where they don't fit in. Revolutionary stuff, right? The show took two scene-stealing side characters and bumped them up to lead status, only to find the spotlight wasn't as flattering. Every episode hammered the same notes ad nauseum: Stanley's cheapness and their non-existent sex life. The humor was about as subtle as a sledgehammer, with Helen constantly demanding intimacy, while Stanley found increasingly ridiculous ways to avoid it. "Not tonight, Helen, I'm alphabetizing my toolbox" was an actual excuse that was used. What made the Ropers especially embarrassing was how it stripped away everything that made these characters work in Three's Company. As nosy neighbors popping in for a scene or two, the Ropers were comedy gold, but as the center of their own show, pure lead.
You'd rather I stay.
I'd rather see what you got in the bag.
It's personal belongings.
Yeah, but whose? I bet you got all our silver in it.
We don't have any silver.
Well, you get a lot of money for staying to steal these days.
Their bickering, which was funny in small doses, became grating when it was the main course. ABC eventually realized their mistake, though it started strong thanks to a primetime slot after Three's Company, ranking number 8 overall in its first season. ABC moved it to Saturdays for season 2, where ratings quickly tanked. The show was canceled after 2 seasons, totaling just 28 episodes. However, here's the real tragedy. Norman Fell, who was reportedly hesitant to leave Three's Company, had negotiated a contract clause guaranteeing his return if the spinoff was canceled in its first season. But the show limped into a second season before getting axed, and by then, ABC had already found their replacement. Don Knotts' Ralph Furley wasn't just a temporary fill-in. Viewers embraced him as a standout character in his own right, closing the door on any possible return for the Ropers, except for a single guest appearance. Sometimes you really can't go home again. Number 3, the one-off who became Jack's full-time bad influence. Remember the slick salesman who was supposed to appear in one scene and accidentally stole the whole episode? That was Larry Dallas.
Larry, this guy is a psycho. Don't tell him what he's gonna do next.
Come on, Jack. He's never gonna find you up here, so stop worrying.
Open up! Start worrying.
He was meant to pop in, do his thing, and vanish. Until Richard Klein bounced his timing off John Ritter and the producer said, "Yeah, we're gonna keep him." What started as a cameo became a recurring gag, and by season 4, Larry was in the opening credits, officially promoted from nuisance to necessity. Larry was the walking I know a guy human red flag with perfect hair. He'd drop one terrible idea at the Regal Beagle and boom, Jack Tripper's week turned into a 5-car pileup. That chemistry was the secret sauce. Ritter's puppy dog panic ricocheting off Klein's velvet schemer. Larry didn't just add jokes, he'd light the fuse. And when the apartment door finally stopped slamming, Klein didn't disappear. He kept the receipts coming. Broadway runs from City of Angels to a later stint in Waitress, a national tour as the Wizard in Wicked, TV turns on shows like The Americans and Blue Bloods, and even a couple of Sandler comedies for good measure. He directed too, picking up an LA Drama Critics Circle Award for Present Laughter, and he's been teaching actors since the late 90s. Best of all, he never ducked Larry. He embraced him. Because on a series built on beautiful misunderstandings, Larry Dallas was the best kind. The kind you secretly hope walks back in, flashes a grin, and says, "Okay, hear me out." Number 2, Jack and Vicky. Why there was no reason to knock on the door. In the Three's Company series finale, Jack proposed to flight attendant Vicky Bradford. She said yes to love, no to marriage. Cut to 1 week later, the sequel Three's a Crowd premiered, and we found Jack and Vicky already living in the apartment above Jack's bistro. Then came the new landlord with a twist. Vicky's father, James Bradford, played by Robert Mandan. He had bought the building from Mr. Angelino and brought a deed, a disapproving glare, and the same old authority versus Jack energy. On paper, Jack looked all grown up. Restaurant owner, committed partner. But Three's Company thrived on ricochet comedy. Roommates barging in, landlords eavesdropping, misunderstandings multiplying like hangers in a closet. Three's a Crowd tried to keep Jack mature and deliver the same chaos, and the mix felt wobbly. Kinda like the show couldn't decide if he was a grown man or still the human banana peel. E.Z. Taylor, played by Alan Campbell, Jack's new assistant, added kitchen noise and occasional sparks. Some fans liked him, but plenty missed the old ensemble's built-in mayhem.
Oh, you mix this with sherry vinegar and a little fresh tarragon, it makes a primo dressing. Primo.
And here's the family tree. Just as Three's Company adapted the UK's Man About the House, Three's a Crowd echoed the show's spin-off, Robin's Nest. Same Vicky name, same wary father, same restaurant tug-of-war. John Ritter still delivered a clinic. Timing, falls, the whole buffet. But Jack Tripper worked best in a pinball machine. Take away the bumpers, and he just rolled. After 1 season and 22 episodes, Three's a Crowd slipped off ABC without a proper goodbye. They gave Jack a bistro and a girlfriend, but took away the reason to knock on his door. Number 1, Lonnie Anderson almost changed Three's Company's history, but was too competent for the job. Before Suzanne Somers ever bounced into the apartment as Chrissy Snow, another blonde bombshell was in the running, Lonnie Anderson.
You didn't forget me, did you?
How could I forget you?
She had the look, the talent, and the presence, but there was one deal breaker. She came across as too sharp for a character who was supposed to believe Alaska was an island and that the sun followed her around. Chrissy needed to be naive, wide-eyed, and just ditzy enough to make every misunderstanding work. Anderson, with her natural confidence and wit, couldn't quite sell Clueless, and in sitcom land, playing dumb is practically a superpower. So the part went to Somers, whose breathless charm made Chrissy an icon. But don't cry for Lonnie. Within 2 years, she was playing Jennifer Marlowe on WKRP in Cincinnati, a blonde who was glamorous, competent, and definitely not dumb. It turned out to be the perfect showcase for her, proving that sometimes the role you don't get leads to the one that makes you unforgettable. Off-screen, Anderson became tabloid royalty thanks to her marriage to Burt Reynolds, a pairing that was peak 80s Hollywood until it very publicly wasn't. And in 2025, her passing added a bittersweet note to a career defined by both TV success and pop culture stardom. It's strange to imagine Three's Company with her sharp delivery instead of Summer's sweet ditziness, but in the end, Anderson carved out her own sitcom legacy. Losing Chrissy Snow only cleared the path for Jennifer Marlowe, and honestly, TV ended up winning twice. And there you have it, 15 weird facts about Three's Company. Which fact surprised you the most, and which one did we miss? Let us know in the comment section below. And since you're still watching, you obviously like this kind of stuff, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another nostalgic deep dive into the shows that shaped our childhoods. Until next time, this is Remember When.